throughout your experience of arriving in New York and then working with Spike Lee, and there's so many really interesting moments that are sort of categorize and provide clues as to how you got here today. One of those early moments was when you're in New York and Spike Lee puts the script on your desk.
Yes.
Because that is for me a really clear, it's almost like a fork in the road. You could have done one thing or another thing. And the choice you made in that seems to be quite pivotal. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. So interesting, it wasn't just that he put the script on the desk, he was walking by with the script under his arm. And as I shared, I love to read. And I know that Spike writes with a very Black point of view about the African-American experience. And I was fascinated by that. And so as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I mean, this must be something interesting that he's either writing or reading. I don't know. I want to be part of it.
And what was your job there at the time?
I was the assistant. Actually, not even the assistant. I was answering the phone, and I was a receptionist at his agency, a temporary receptionist. So I didn't even have the job yet. I was only filling in. And but it felt, there was a little bit of naivete in it, and that, like, I don't know if 15 years ago even, if I saw Spike walking past my desk, I would have been like, hey, what are you reading? Can I read that? Because I would have used all my logic to say, oh, he's so important. Whatever he's holding there, he needs. He's not going to give it to you, so why even ask? I probably would have explained it to myself that way. But at the time, there was a little bit of that naivete, brashness, arrogance even, where I was just like, oh, whatever he's reading, I want to read. And so that's what I asked him. Just said, what do you have? And he said his script for Bamboozled. And I was like, okay, well, can I read it? And he looked at me incredulously, and he was like, sure, here you go. Have it back to me in 3 days and let me know what you think. And of course, he had a smirk on his face, and so did the office, everybody who overheard the conversation. And I really didn't understand what that meant. But of course, in hindsight, I understood that it was such a complicated piece of writing that he probably didn't think I would finish it, one, or have anything to add. And I took a red pen to it, a literal red pen. He likes to tell the story now that, like, he gave this receptionist his script, and I came back 3 days later with markups and notes in the margins. Said, I think that this dialogue here could be flushed out a little bit. I didn't understand what happened between these two characters. And he was just like, what? You marked up my script? And I was just like, oh God, I didn't know. Man, I really did think I was getting fired that day. And he went into his office, slammed the door. I sat there. Man, I'm telling you, I had my purse with me, and I was just sitting there waiting for him to open up the office so that he could tell me I was fired. And meanwhile, I'm thinking in the back of my head, my dad's going to kill me because I'm not even supposed to be in this job. I have a college degree. Why am I a receptionist at this office anyway? And then he opened the door after what felt like 17 hours. It was probably just, 30 minutes. And that's when I got the job. He was like, you made some good notes. You should stay.
How old are you?
22.
So you're 22 and you take a red pen to one of the most famous film directors' work.
Yeah.
And that gets you the job.
Yes.
What's the lesson there?
Oh, it changed my entire life. Oh, that changed my entire life. I've had a few inflection points in my life. That is absolutely one of them. Without that moment, I don't know, and maybe at some other point I would have learned it. Maybe it would have come to me anyway. But I'm so glad it came to me then, that there is no one who knows more about anything than you do. It just doesn't exist. Like, look, I'm not saying you should go ahead and try to do like open heart surgery.
No, yeah.
Maybe don't do that,
Okay.
But if you are the patient getting counseled by your doctor and they say, you know what, I think we're going to have to do open heart surgery, but you feel like, hey, look, I don't know that you understand all the symptoms that I'm trying to discuss with you, and that you seem to just skip by a bunch of these things that I've just said, I'm going to have to go for a second opinion. That's the kind of belief I have in myself, where I'm just like, I'm going to question you, even though you're the expert, and say, I don't know, because you really didn't pay attention to what I was saying. So let me just go and try and talk to somebody else. That moment when Spike said, sure, go for it. And I went for it. And then he said, I had some good ideas. Oh, Come on. Like you just said, he's one of the most brilliant filmmakers of all time. He will be in the annals of history. And he thought, as a 22-year-old, I made some good points on a script that is one of his most difficult to read. You can't tell me shit.
It's hard for anything or anyone to undo that conviction and evidence, right? That he gave you in that moment.
Yeah. But I feel like also I learned something as a leader from him in that moment, that there aren't people on my team that I dismiss for lack of tenure or understanding. You know, that there are so many people who can contribute to an idea or to a campaign, who can challenge your strategy without having more knowledge than you do of the thing. You know what I'm saying? That like there are junior people on the team that you should ask their opinion, because they're probably going to look at it from a different perspective than you ever would. And they might say something that changes the entire direction of the thing you're doing. And you should listen to them.
Sometimes it's hard for those people to speak up, right? Because of that.
Yes. But that's why, again, the lesson from that moment is that, like, when he says sure, it's like, as a leader, why would I not say sure to somebody or make the room for them to be able to speak up? You know, I've been known in my teams to, I'm like a teacher, I'll call on people, you know, and not to make them feel badly, but just allow space. You know, see somebody who looks like they're, and again, this comes down to like some of those lessons from when I was 12, reading people, body language, seeing somebody's itching to jump in the conversation, but they can't find a space because that knucklehead over there talks too much. We've all been in those meetings, you know? And then just being like, hey, did you have something to say? You know, did you want to contribute to this? You ever thought about this? And then sometimes people be like, oh, no. They'll get shy, you know, where like I can start to see them like panic. And I'm like, okay, no problem. But if you do, just let me know. You know, just give them a second to be able to gather themselves. Or sometimes they'll be like, yes, actually, I just wanted to say, and they'll contribute. And, you know, sometimes the contribution is great and sometimes it's a bunch of crap. But you'll never know unless you ask. The
counter narrative to that is, do you think, I was playing around with this idea that I think in teams, people end up having what I call like a contribution score. And it's kind of like a credit score, but it's like the historical value of when you speak, whether it's valuable or not. Like your credit, when you go for, you want to like lease a car or you want to get a house or whatever, if you've got a bad credit score, you're probably going to get shut down upon an application. And if you've got a bad contribution score, i.e. if you tend to just contribute without thinking, or you're just speaking for the sake of speaking, then when you speak, the first word starts at a lower level of appreciation.
That is so true. God, I've never thought of it that way. I love that though.
And you got to, so there's this is a converse point, because it means you do want to protect your contribution score. You don't want to just speak for the sake of speaking. You know, if you're brainstorming a campaign and I go, what about a billboard?
Right.
And you look over and you go, that was a fucking...
stupid. Have you already done billboards? You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the thing is that, it's kind of also the same way that I look at failure of ideas. You know, oh man, that can kill your creativity faster than anything else. You know, it's not just your contribution score, but it's like, it's like if we're in the meeting, okay? And here you are. Maybe you spoke up by yourself, maybe I called on you. And you said the thing and everybody in the room's like, oh my God, that's really smart. Yes, we should do that. And then we do the thing and it bombs. Oh man. You know, this is when, again, as a leader, it's like you gotta come in and protect the people's spirit.
Yeah.
And their confidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that idea of failing fast, like that's when it really comes into play. It's like, oh, no. Dust yourself off. Everybody get up. We're going to try this again. We're going to try a different way. Thank you for contributing. Sit your ass down. Okay, who else has another idea? You know what I mean? But making sure that they're no longer a pariah also. You know, but that's your job as the leader to do that. You know, it's like, look, we each have a value and a role to play in that context, right? So as the person who came up with the bad idea or the stupid contribution, your job isn't to then dust yourself off and try to come again. You know, you can do that, but it's really hard to do if you don't have somebody on the other end who's pulling you to do that. You know? And so my job in that role is to make sure that you come back. That is my job. You know, it's not just to pick the good ideas. It's to protect the people, protect the good ideas, protect the bad ideas. Like, make sure they keep rising every time something bombs, because it's going to bomb. Like, you're not going to get a perfect score all the time.
And it's funny because as you were saying that, I was thinking it was only a bad idea when it hit the market.
Yeah.
It was a good idea up until then. And that's an uncontrollable, right? No one can. So probably should be celebrating running the experiment itself versus the outcome of the experiment.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And always, you know, I love Monday morning quarterbacking. I love it. You know, some people think it's like a punishment. I really try not to make it feel like punishment, where you review the thing that happened that went bad, you know, and everybody wants to pile on. Now all of a sudden, this person who didn't say one word in the meeting was like, well, I knew it was a bad idea from the start. Oh, I cannot stand those type of people. Look, in a meeting with me, you'll understand that's a wrong thing to say. If you're going to be the one who says, well, I knew it was going to be bad from the start, well, then you should have said that shit before we went and executed it. Otherwise, don't tell me now. You know? So it's like the picking apart of the thing. Like, okay, what was the thing that went right? What was the thing that went wrong? What could we have done differently to get a different outcome? And sometimes it's nothing. The conditions were right. The idea was right. It was executed right. It just didn't hit. And then sometimes you're just going to be like, just chalk it up. Like, that sucks. You know, you do learn something. You're just like, it was such a great idea in the room, but then we went outside and we were all in love with it, that we missed the huge red flag. Everybody missed it. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw that, like, actually wasn't that funny. We laughed in the room, but it wasn't that funny. You know? It's like, and that has happened to me so many times, where it's like, you just fall in love with the thing, and then you go outside and nobody thinks it's good except for the people who are in the room with you. You know? It's like putting on a really great outfit at home. You know, you just look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, ooh, I am just too cute. Oh, I'm fine. I'm about to pull one tonight. You go outside and ain't not one person talk to you. You see pictures later, you're like, I did not look like that. I know I didn't. I swear to you, I looked better when I saw myself in the mirror.
Can't relate. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Of course you
I'm
can.
joking. I'm joking. If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.